Welcome you all to EPG Pathshala. Myself, Dr. Muhammad Nazarul Bari, associated with Department of History, Central University of Karnataka, Gulbarga. Here, the recent module deals with Aurangzeb, his life, politics, and achievements. In the previous module, we had a discussion about Jahangir and Shah Jahan, their achievements, and their attempt and extension of Mughal Empire, their legacy and their role in the construction of new buildings, new architecture during Mughal period. About Aurangzeb, we may say that he was one of the most controversial ruler of Indian history, especially Mughal India. We have certain objectives of this module, which we will discuss it now. The first is to know the life and history of Aurangzeb. Second objective of this module is to know the achievement of Aurangzeb before becoming the Mughal emperor. The third learning objective is to describe the events of Aurangzeb policies in Deccan, especially Marathas. And final objective is to understand the Aurangzeb policies toward Jats, Sikh, Rajputs and Satnamis. Before we go and focus mainly on Aurangzeb rule, we will briefly discuss about the childhood of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was born on 3rd December 1618 at Dahod in Gujarat. He was the third son and sixth child of Shah Jahan and Mumtaz Mahal. Aurangzeb's original name was Abdul Muzaffar Muhyiddin Muhammad Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was provided the best and different sort of education which was necessary for every prince of that time. He became well adept in the art of handling arms and technique of fightings. Aurangzeb also learned Arabic, Persian, Turki, Hindi languages and religious texts of Islam. Now we will discuss about the early military campaign which Aurangzeb made during his father tenure Shah Jahan. First, he was involved directly in the Bundela War. His first military campaign as a prince was against Jujhar Singh of Bundelkhand on 15 December 1634. Aurangzeb was given his first command comprising 10,000 horse and 4,000 troopers against Jujhar Singh. Aurangzeb was successfully defeated Jujhar Singh and Jujhar Singh was removed from the power. Then Aurangzeb was appointed as a viceroy of Deccan in 1636 and Aurangzeb later became governor of Multan and Sindh. In year 1649 and 1652, he commanded armies in campaign against Central Asia and Kandahar also. Aurangzeb, as a governor of Deccan, proposed to resolve the situation by attacking the dynastic occupant of Golconda and Bijapur, but Shah Jahan chose them to settle with the negotiation with the opposing forces rather than the pushing for complete victory. Actually, as a governor of Deccan, Aurangzeb was in favor to capture Golconda and Bijapur and bring them to be the part of Mughal Empire, while Shah Jahan was not in favor. That is why Aurangzeb allowed them to be the independent state. Now we will discuss the Aurangzeb War of Succession. In 1657, Shah Jahan was seriously ill and there was a rumor all around Shah Jahan was so ill he is about to die or he is almost dead already. Previously, succession war were fought after the death of emperor. This was fought when Shah Jahan was yet alive. While Shah Jahan had four sons, Dara Shikoh, Shah Shuja, Aurangzeb and Murad Baksh. Jahan Ara, the sister of Aurangzeb, supported Dara Shikoh as a next ruler of Mughal Empire, while Roshan Ara supported Aurangzeb. In the similar fashion, Gauhar Ara sided with Murad Baksh. Likewise, the noble and army commander sided with one or the other contestant to the throne. Shah Jahan was seriously ill, and when Shah Jahan was ill there in capital city of Mughal Empire, there was a rumor start spreading, he is already died and Dara Shikoh is going to be the next emperor of Mughal Empire. It's true that Shah Jahan was in favor to appoint Dara or Dara Shikoh as his successor, but even in the courtier also, the nobility also, there was a 2-3 groups, they used to support the different faction, different claimant of the royal throne. Now each prince or the all four sons, whether Dara Shikoh, Murad, Shuja, Aurangzeb, they all wanted to be the next emperor or the next emperor of Mughal Empire. But there was a threat also, if they will not get takht, that is royal throne, they will get takhta, that is deathbed. The most important thing in this regard is there was a lack of definite rule of succession. According to the Taimurid rule, after the death of the ruler, his kingdom or his empire was divided between all his existing sons. But here, Mughals were not ready to accept the idea of Taimurid rule of succession. Even in Hindu rule of succession, there is no clear-cut demarcation who will be the next king after the death of the emperor. There was no such rule. Even Ajat-Satru, during ancient period, he arrested his father and became the ruler. Even there was a lot of literary evidences that there was a fight between different Rajputs' brother after the death of his father or before even the death of his father to be the next king. Now chief events, we will discuss about the chief event of the War of Succession. First, declaration of being the emperor. When Dara Shikoh was very close to Shah Jahan and he used to live with him in the capital city of Mughal Empire itself. In 1654 only, Dara Shikoh was asked to put his golden chair near to the royal throne of Shah Jahan. So that message was quite clear that he is going to be the next Mughal ruler or Mughal emperor. Then we will discuss about the diplomacy of Aurangzeb. Since very beginning, Aurangzeb was very clear-cut idea how to capture the throne. He had experience to work in Deccan as a governor, then he had experience to work in Sindh and Multan also. So he knows the number of people to whom he can manage his show. Finally, when the Shah Jahan was ill in 1757, he decided to keep in touch with all his brother, excluding Dara Shikoh. Shuja, who was the governor of Bengal, his other brother Murad, who was governor in Gujarat. Aurangzeb was in touch with all of these two, and even Aurangzeb wrote later to the Rajput chief also to support him in the War of Succession. There was 3 battles took place that was fully related with War of Succession. First, Battle of Bahadurpur, second, Battle of Dharmat, third, Battle of Samugad. Battle of Dharmat took place in February 1658, while in May 1658, another final battle took place, that Battle of Samugad, in which Mughal forces got defeated, and Mughal forces was basically under command of Dara Shikoh. Finally, after the defeat of Mughal forces, Aurangzeb decided to seize the capital city of Agra, where Shah Jahan was living in the palace. And after capturing the fort, what Aurangzeb did, Aurangzeb basically cut the supply of water to force the Shah Jahan and his other loyal people living inside the fort to surrender. Finally, because of the scarcity of water, they surrendered, and the other claimant of the royal throne, including Murad, Shah Shuja, Dara Shikoh, and even Dara Shikoh's son, got killed. Now we will discuss here the factor which basically helped to Aurangzeb in the War of Succession. First, personal quality of Aurangzeb. Personally, Aurangzeb was in a constant touch, as I discussed it earlier, with all his brother, excluding Dara Shikoh, and he got information from the reliable sources from the royal palaces also. Second, diplomacy of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb was in touch with his brothers Shuja and Murad, and what it was decided initially, we all three will jointly attack to the capital city. We will fight with the Mughal forces, and after defeating Dara Shikoh and Shah Jahan, what we will do, we will divide whole empire of Mughal into three parts. One under Shuja, one under Aurangzeb, another and the third under Murad. The fourth factor which helped Aurangzeb was superior artillery of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb had a well-trained army, and that army which was working on under Aurangzeb, they were on constant fight when he was governor at Deccan. That also helped him to evolve different kind of techniques in the war. Then the weakness of Shah Jahan, that was the next factor. Shah Jahan was almost bedridden. He do not have any role to play in the war. So, in the absence of Shah Jahan, the Mughal emperor, Dara Shikoh, who basically took the command of Mughal army in the battle, but finally he got defeated. Now here we will discuss about the Aurangzeb war on the Eastern Front between 1600 to 1666. War on Eastern Front was mainly related with the Ahom ruler of Assam. Here the Ahom people belonged to the Mongoloid origin and had established their rule in eastern and central Assam since 13th century. Since 1639, river Varnadi has been recognized as the boundary between the Mughal and the Ahom territories. Taking advantage of the War of Succession, which was started in 1657 and continued up to 1659, what Ahom did, Ahom basically occupied Guwahati. That was the part of Mughal Empire. Aurangzeb ordered Mir Jumla of Bengal to launch a campaign for the conquest of Assam. What Mir Jumla did, Mir Jumla started with a powerful army in November 1661 towards Ahom in Assam. And when Mir Jumla marched from Bengal, then what he did, he captured Kuch Bihar and Assam and reached to Gadgaon, the capital of the Ahom kingdom, in March 1662. Mughals failed to maintain their hold over Assam due to the rainy season. Due to the heavy rain, there was a shortage of food and large number of Mughal soldiers also died. The Ahom took the offensive and began to harass the Mughal, whose suffering increased owing to the outbreak of pestilence in their camp. At last, Ahom used for peace and treaty was made with them in December 1662. According to the treaty, Ahom king offered to pay a large indemnity, and there was a fashion during medieval period that if a small king was having any fault to create a war, then that a small ruler or the other ruler will have to pay the war indemnity, the cost of the war. That was the fashion in which, in the same manner, a Ahom ruler was forced to pay the war indemnity or the cost of the war which Mughal paid for this battle. Mughals were also occupying more than half of the province of Darang, which was popular for the supply of the elephants, and elephant relevance was very much important during the medieval war. Now here we will discuss about the Aurangzeb policy on the frontier tribes. Since very beginning, northwest frontier province was a very important for the Mughals due to its strategic location. What Aurangzeb did, Aurangzeb followed a forward policy of northwest frontier. The Afghans, such as Afridis, Yusufzai, Khataks, were the constant source of anxiety to the Mughal Empire. These tribesmen indulged in highway robbery and plundered the rich town of northwestern Punjab. Aurangzeb tried to win them over by payment of money so as to keep the northwestern passages safe to traffic and trade. See, law and order situation is very important, or the important thing for the promotion of trade and trade activity. And trade activity was one of the important source of income during medieval period for the royalty. So, if at all there will be a lawlessness, there will be loss of revenue for the king or the kingdom or the empire. So that is why Aurangzeb wanted to make it sure that the traders who are coming from outside to India through northwestern provinces, they should get safe passages to reach to the mainland of India and sell their goods, so we can get profit in the form of the tax. But the idea which was made by Aurangzeb to win them, the Afghans, through giving them bribe, that could not work. And finally, in year 1667, the Yusufzai arose in a rebellion but successfully suppressed. Again, in 1672, the Afridis rose in arms under their leader Akmal Khan, who summoned all the Pathans to organize themselves in national war against the Mughals. In the year 1674, the situation became so menacing that Aurangzeb personally reached to Hassan Abdul near Peshawar and stayed there for a year. Many clans won over by the means of pension, jagir and present and command in the Mughal army. With the appointment of Amir Khan as the governor of Kabul from 1677 to 1698, a period of peace followed who by tact and diplomacy kept friendly relation with the Afghans, and this way Aurangzeb solved the issue of northwest frontier province so that can help in the growth of trade and commerce in India, which ultimately helped in the growth of the economy of the empire. Here we can see the area which was under the control of Aurangzeb as a Mughal emperor. Now, this is one of the most important aspect of Aurangzeb religious policy. There are a lot of debate regarding the Aurangzeb religious policy, his idea, his intention, and finally, lot of known and reliable scholars, they have worked hard to find out the fact what Aurangzeb really want out of his religious policy. Here we will briefly discuss about the important steps taken by Aurangzeb during his almost 50 years of tenure as a emperor of Mughal. What Aurangzeb did, he restored Islam to its former position as the state religion. The religious policy of Aurangzeb unfolded itself gradually. His initial step was to abolish some of un-Islamic practices at the Mughal court. Aurangzeb also abolished the Persian New Year that was celebrated with a great pomp and show to the Mughal court known as Nowruz. Nowruz, which was the festival of the Zoroastrian people, was celebrated with a great pomp and show by the Mughal ruler. After becoming Mughal emperor, Aurangzeb basically discontinued this system of Persian New Year. What he did again, he discontinued the practice of Jharokha Darshan. Jharokha Darshan, as we have discussed in the module which was related with Akbar, Jharokha Darshan was a system which was invented by Akbar and made it popular. He used to sit in the balcony of his royal palace while common people used to come and see him, and this was the belief of the common people that through this they will get the blessing of the god and the good wishes of the king. That system of Jharokha Darshan was discontinued by Aurangzeb because he do consider it as a un-Islamic practices. In the same way, Aurangzeb also forbade music at the court and dismissed the old musician and singer. It is true that Aurangzeb was not at all interested in music or music which was there in the court on a day-to-day basis, but as Professor Satish Chandra had a view that it was nothing to do with religion, because even after musical celebration was stopped in the court, but it was continued in the royal haram. So in the view of Satish Chandra, it was more on a economic aspect, nothing to do with religion or Islam. Then Aurangzeb also discontinued the practice of stamping the kalima on the coins. During medieval period, once the Muslims start ruling over India, there was a system that they used to they used to put the kalima of the holy verses of Quran on the coins, and this was the belief of Aurangzeb that is un-Islamic, that coins will keep exchanging the hand, and this way the people will not respect the kalima, the holy verses of the Quran, so it's better to discontinue these traditions. Again, the ceremony of weighing the emperor against gold and silver was given up. In the previous module related with Akbar, we had elaborated the idea how the Jharokha Darshan and Tuladan was two things that was initiated by Akbar and made it popular. Tuladan, which was a system, one side of the weight the king will sit, other side the coins made of gold and silver of the equal weight will be put, and after that that coins made of gold and silver will be distributed among the poor and needy people. Thus, that system of Tuladan was also discontinued by Aurangzeb. He do believe it was against the Islamic belief or Islamic ideas. But it's very interesting to note that when Prince or the son of Aurangzeb was seriously ill, after his recovery, what Aurangzeb went for a Tuladan, and whatever gold and silver coins was of equal weight was there, that was distributed among the needy and poor people. Next important steps made by Aurangzeb was the royal astrologer who were working inside the court. They used to advise the king what is good and what not to good, when to do and when not to do, that were also dismissed. And here also I wish to point out that Aurangzeb, he discontinued the practices of music in the court, but he himself was a very good veena player, and the largest number of books in Persian, that too on music, was written during the time of Aurangzeb only. Now the other policy which was decided by Aurangzeb during his tenure related with religion was that he discontinued the cultivation of bhang, which was very much in practice among the royal elite of the period. Secondly, he also appointed a special officer to check the immoral practices in the society, and they were known as muhtasib. Interestingly, even Ashoka during Mauryan period, he also appointed a special officer to check the immoral practices of the people, and they were known as Mahamatras. The other important point which we will point out here, in 1679, the jizya tax, which was especially on the non-Muslim population, was reimposed by Aurangzeb, which was discontinued by Akbar in 1564. Now, in short, Aurangzeb's policy of religious intolerance led to the organized opposition from the various groups. Now, here we will discuss first the revolt of the Jat against Aurangzeb. The first organized revolt of Hindus against his religious policy prosecution was Jat. Jat under their leader Gokul revolted and killed the Abdul Nabi in 1669. Gokul was taken prisoner and was tortured to death. Jat again rose in revolt under their new leader Rajaram in 1686, who also fell fighting against the Mughals in 1688. The leadership of the Jat was now taken up by his nephew Churaman. The revolt of Jat continued till the death of Aurangzeb. Actually, the Jat is a population that too now in the state of Western Uttar Pradesh, Haryana and Rajasthan, and they were mainly involved in a farming occupation. So because of the repressive policy of the Faujdar Abdul Nabi of Mathura, they revolted against the Mughal, and finally there was a confrontation with the Mughal army with the Jats. Now the revolt of Satnamis, which are another important event, took place at the time of Aurangzeb. The Satnamis were a religious sect of the Hindus who inhabited the territory of Narnaul and Mewat. They were dressed like a fakir, but most of them followed agriculture. They were popularly called Mundiyas because they shaved off their heads and face, including their eyebrows. They revolted when a tax collector insulted a Satnami farmers. The whole tribes rose in rebellion, and they looked upon it as a holy war and occupied Narnaul. Aurangzeb sent a large army. Satnami peasants were overpowered and over 1,000 Satnamis were killed. Again, as we have seen in the case of Satnamis also, like Jat, there was a political issue or the economic issue than the religious issues related in this revolt. Now we will discuss about revolt that too related with the Sikh. Here Guru Arjan Dev, fifth Guru of Sikh, supported the rebellious Prince Khusru in 1606, for which Jahangir ordered his execution. This act led to the Sikh to go against the Mughal under the leadership of the sixth Guru, Guru Gobind Singh. He declared himself to be a spiritual and temporal head of the Sikh. The Sikh devotees were transformed into soldiers sent, and now this brought him to clash with the Mughals. Tegh Bahadur, ninth Guru, protested against the policy of Aurangzeb and was arrested, and later on he was also put to death. Aurangzeb could not tolerate the emergence of Sikh as an armed community, and he ordered the suppression of the Sikh. See, the confrontation between Sikh and the Mughals was not a new thing, and it's very interesting to note here the place where Golden Temple is situated or is built now, that land was given by Akbar to the Sikh, and later on Mian Mir, a Sufi saint from Lahore, was invited to lead the foundation of that Golden Temple. But the rivalry or the tension between Mughals started with Sikh when Sikh Guru Arjun Dev gave shelter to Prince Khurram, who later became Shah Jahan, or the next ruler after the death of Jahangir. Then the tension created between Mughals, and that continued with the different phases till Aurangzeb period. Now, one of the important aspects which we have to discuss, Aurangzeb policy toward the Rajputs. Here, Aurangzeb was interested in Marwar as it occupied a position of strategic importance as controlling certain military and commercial routes from the Mughal capital to the rich cities and the port of western India. Its position as a strong military state in north could not be tolerated by Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb suspected that Raja Jaswant Singh, the chief of Marwar, might stand forth as the leader of opposition to his policy. So Raja Jaswant Singh died finally in the year 1678 without leaving male heir. Aurangzeb took immediate step to seize his kingdom and placed it under direct Mughal rule. From then, the Rajput continued their struggle until the death of Aurangzeb. Now the question arises why Aurangzeb was more interested in Marwar. As we have already pointed out, Marwar basically connects western India, the port of Gujarat, with the Mughal Empire. And if Marwar will be under the direct control of Mughal Empire, it will be good for the economy for the Mughal. So that is why since very beginning Aurangzeb was much more interested in the possession of Marwar. Now the very important issue which was related with the Aurangzeb life or the tenure as a emperor of Mughal was his policy towards Deccan. The objective of his Deccan wars was to conquer the state of Bijapur and Golconda and to crush the power of the Marathas. He also felt that existence of these states enables the Maratha powerful. Maratha also befriended with Qutub Shahi and Adil Shahi Sultan whenever it was convenient to cooperate with them against the Mughals. What Aurangzeb did first, he annexed Bijapur in year 1686. Adil Shah II died in 1672 and succeeded by his son Sikandar. Aurangzeb sent Diler Khan in 1679 to carry a siege of Bijapur but failed, and during the next 4 years nothing decisive was done against Bijapur by the Mughals. While in the year 1683, Aurangzeb sent an ultimatum to Bijapur making certain demands but not accepted by Bijapur. Bijapur was invaded by the imperial army of Mughals led by Prince Azam in April 1685. Aurangzeb himself proceeded to Deccan in July 1686 and conducted the siege. Sikandar Adil Shah, the Sultan of Bijapur, surrendered the fort of Bijapur on September 1686. Now the next important Sultanate which was left untouched was Golconda. So Aurangzeb now mobilized his forces for Golconda. In the year 1687, that conquest of Golconda finally, Abdullah Qutub Shah was succeeded by his son-in-law Abdul Hassan. Abdul Hassan was a pleasure-loving man, hence during his regime, the nobles got the upper hand. The administration was in the hand of his Brahmin minister, Madanna Pandit, who was the prime minister, and Akhanna, the commander-in-chief of the army. The predominance of Hindu influence at Golconda and the later alliance with the Maratha king Sambhaji were particularly offensive to Aurangzeb. Their offer to help to Bijapur provided the Mughals ready pretext to invade the country. From Aurangzeb's point of view, there was ample justification for war. The kingdom possessed great natural resources like mines of diamond and iron, and its flourishing ports added to her wealth. Golconda was attacked in 1685 and finally it was conquered in 1687. See why Aurangzeb was much more interested in conquering Golconda and Bijapur, because he had a threat: if these two kingdoms will not be conquered, so they will keep supporting Marathas against the Mughals, or maybe in the coming years they will get united against the Mughals. So after conquering these two estates, Aurangzeb diverted his attention towards Marathas. In 1685, Aurangzeb deputed Shah Alam to attack Golconda. Abul Hasan promised to pay a large sum as a war indemnity in addition to an annual tribute as he used to pay previously. He also agreed to dismiss his two Brahmin ministers, Madanna and Akhanna, from the service and to cede some places which Mughal forces had already occupied. In March 1686, Madanna and Akhanna were murdered by the Muslim nobles. Aurangzeb himself proceeded to Golconda in 1687 and ordered to siege Golconda. Finally, Golconda was annexed to the Mughal Empire in 1687, and after that, Abul Hasan, last Sultan of Qutub Shahi dynasty, was sent to Daulatabad as a prisoner. Now Aurangzeb was in position to divert his full attention toward the Marathas. So here we will discuss about Mughals-Maratha relations in the light of policy that was adopted by Aurangzeb. During the first half of the reign of Aurangzeb, between 1657 to 1687, his victory in the Deccan achieved no definite success against the Marathas. So finally, what Aurangzeb decided to send his very reliable man Mirza Raja Jai Singh, the Mughal viceroy of Deccan, from 1658 to 1666, and he basically defeated Shivaji, and a treaty was signed that was known as Treaty of Purandar in 1665 with Shivaji. In 1666, Shivaji visited the imperial court at Agra but was put under confinement by Aurangzeb. On his return, Shivaji not only recovered his lost territory but also extended it. Shivaji celebrated his coronation as sovereign ruler in 1674 but died in 1680, just after 4 years. After the death of Shivaji, his son Sambhaji became the next king. But in year 1681, the revolt took place and Prince Akbar, who took shelter in the court of Maratha king Sambhaji. This obliged Aurangzeb to come to the south, where he was destined to spend the remaining 27 years of his life. Sambhaji was taken prisoner by Aurangzeb and tortured to death in 1689. After his death, Raja Ram, Shivaji, another son, was proclaimed the new Chhatrapati, and Mughals laid siege of Maratha capital, but Raja Ram slipped out and reached Jinji. Zulfikar Khan was sent by Aurangzeb to besiege Jinji and captured Raja Ram. That siege lasted almost 8 years. In the year 1689, Aurangzeb succeeded in capturing Maratha kingdom and killed Raja Ram. But the success of Aurangzeb was short-lived. Raja Ram's wife Tarabai made her young son Shivaji III as successor. Tarabai took the reins of the government into her own hands. The Maratha continued to wage war until the death of Aurangzeb, and finally Aurangzeb died in the year 1707. Now we will discuss briefly about the effects of Aurangzeb's Deccan policy. The destruction of Bijapur and Golconda indirectly led to great anarchy in the south, which proved beneficial to the Marathas in their wars. The second effect was the Deccan wars of Aurangzeb proved very expensive and wasteful. The third, incessant warfare in the Deccan emptied the state treasury. Fourth, the empire was brought on the verge of bankruptcy, and the final effect was Aurangzeb's long absence from the capital for 25 years put the entire administrative machinery out of gear. Now here we will discuss about the death and legacy of Aurangzeb. Aurangzeb died of illness at the age of 88 on 20th February 1707. He left an empire stretched to the breaking point and riddled with rebellions. Aurangzeb's death effectively marked the beginning of the downfall of the hitherto glorious Mughal Empire. Emperor Aurangzeb is considered to be the last of the great Mughals. He was a fearless man who knew what he had to do in order to survive. However, his ruthlessness, treachery, and intolerance surely contributed to the weakening of the once great empire. Unfortunately, his choices left the Mughal Empire itself far less able to fend off foreign imperialism in the end. We can conclude it safely at last. Aurangzeb was a great diplomat, and as we have seen in the case of War of Succession, how he tried to get the support and mobilize the support of his own two brothers. He wrote a letter to the Rajput chief to support him in the War of Succession. It's true, there was a number of revolt took place by the Satnamis, by the Jats, by the Sikh, but that revolt has nothing to do with religion. That was more because of the economic steps taken by Aurangzeb. There was a blame on Aurangzeb on a regular basis that he destroyed number of temples, he was anti-Hindu. That may be true on a certain cases, but the same Aurangzeb gave donation, grants to the number of Hindu temples, and even today also, we have the evidence of farmans through which he gave grants to the temple of Banaras and Vrindavan, and even the number of other temples in Gujarat. And there is a very interesting study made by Athar Ali in his book Mughal Nobility under Aurangzeb. You all will be surprised to know that under Aurangzeb, 1/3 of the nobles were Hindu, while Akbar, we had a very liberal idea about Akbar and his rule. Even during Akbar rule, only 14% of the nobles were Hindus working under him. I hope you have understood everything. For more detailed information, kindly visit e-text of EPG Pathshala. Thank you.